In this video, we're going to take a look at a DIY custom roller shade. Now, I thought this was an interesting product because you have a complete smart roller shade finished, it arrives, and you're able to cut it to whatever size you need for your window for an inside mount or an outside mount. Now, this is a new roller shade from SwitchBot, and the idea behind this is to give you a more affordable option when getting custom shades, because it can get really expensive to have shades created for you. And I will say, getting custom shades can be very stressful. I got some for my bedroom, and they're inside mounts, and they tell you to leave a certain amount of space, and then I leave a little more because you don't want to get it wrong because they are so expensive. And then I got mine home, I mounted them, and I have a little more space than I want. That's a little bit of a bummer, especially at the price. So you can do away with all that, customize your own shade and save some money. We're going to talk through what all this smart shade can do. I'll show you how you can customize it and install it, and we'll take a look at the finished product. Now, this video is sponsored by SwitchBot. They did send this over for me to check out, and when they reached out and told me about it, like I said, I was curious how this was going to work out. Now, I've used a bunch of SwitchBot devices. Two that I use daily are the SwitchBot K10 Plus Pro Vacuum. It runs every day at 8:30 a.m. Then I have my SwitchBot curtains that open up every morning at 7 a.m. and then they close a couple hours before sunset. I'll put links to the roller shade along with those other devices down in the description, so definitely go check them out. Now, the reason why I wanted to check out this shade is because, like I mentioned in the beginning, I was curious about it. How do you make a custom smart shade that I can customize at home? How do you cut the fabric to the right size? I had all these questions thinking about it, so I'm going to answer all those questions in this video. The other reason I wanted to check it out is that it works with all these smart assistants. I mean, I use Apple Home and I want everything to work with it. I'm able to pair it with Apple Home because it supports Matter when paired up with one of SwitchBot's Matter hubs. So you definitely need to get one of their hubs if you want to use it with your smart assistant. The SwitchBot Roller Shade's available in different sizes. You have the small that goes from 22.8 inches to 31.5 inches. So you have almost 10 inches of adjustment there. The medium goes from 31.5 inches to 43.3 inches. The large goes from 43.3 inches to 55.1 inches. The extra large goes from 55.1 inches to 72.8 inches, so over 6 feet long. I was surprised that they're able to do over 6 foot long shades. Most of the windows in my house are 6 feet wide. The problem is that I don't have the clearance to inside mount these. So that's something you're gonna wanna check their sizing to make sure you have the clearance for it. I would need them to be about 80 inches if I wanted to do an outside mount. I decided to go with this one in my laundry room. This window faces where the sun comes in all day. During the summer, it gets extremely hot in here. So what I want to do, since I don't have air conditioning in here, is I want to hook up a temperature sensor so that if it does get too hot in here, it closes this shade. Now let's take a look at the shade itself. SwitchBot provides everything you need to be able to hang this yourself. They include a little screwdriver. There's a stapler in there too. Everything's covered. I would say if you feel comfortable mounting your own shades, you should be fine going through the steps to be able to customize these. I will also say, pay attention. Don't record a YouTube video at the same time. I made a mistake and left a little plastic roller on when I cut my shades. So I actually had to make them a little narrower than I had anticipated. So pay attention to your width and remove all plastic spacer roller things. Now, to determine the size of your shade, you first remove the shade off the roller. Once we have these screws out, we can remove this, and now we can remove the whole fabric roll. This is the piece of plastic that I didn't remove that affected the width of the roller shade. Now, once you have the roller apart, then you take the frame out and you go and you size it up against your window. Now, there's 4 screws here. You only loosen the 4 Phillips screws, and then you adjust it to the size you need based on your window and then tighten them back down. You take that frame out and you're able to size it perfectly to your window. Whether you go inside mount, you know it's going to be nice and tight, or go outside mount and you can really adjust that overlap. If you're doing an inside mount, you would shrink it down to fit inside. I don't have the depth. That's where I'm doing an outside mount. Now that I know the size that I need, I want to tighten these up. Once you know the size of the frame and you have the screws all tightened down so it's ready to go, the next step is mounting the bracket. SwitchBot includes all the anchors you need to do that. SwitchBot makes it easy to mount this. What they did is you take the bottom rail and you match it to the same width as the top. And then there's these two red marks. You take this piece of cardboard, you pull off the double stick tape, you put it right where the red is, and then that's going to give you your mark on where it's going to mount. And you get it lined up where you need it to be. And you got the holes up there, so you mark your holes. So I'll do that once I have two hands, and you have your level just to make sure you get it right. Brackets are in now, and next step is just to click in the shade. No tools are needed for that because they are a little spring loaded. Now, if you made it this far into the video, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing so you can check out our next one. And now the most interesting part of setting these up is the cutting the fabric itself. To cut it, you put the roller all the way back on so you know where you're gonna need to cut. So right here is my rough mark. I didn't write anything on there because it doesn't necessarily matter. What we do next is this tape needs to go over, and it keeps this whole thing from unraveling when you go to do the cutting. See, and now that I have it on, you could see that the tape is pretty much centered up right there. Next step is you put the cutting blade on. So where you took off the side blade, you replace it with this cutting blade and you screw that in. Once you have the cutting blade attached, the next step is to go into the app and you'll start the cutting process. Now, in order to cut the shade, during installation and using the guide, there's the resize fabric. And with resize fabric, you determine the cutting position, which we already did. We put the tape on it. I already put the cutter on. So next, during fabric cutting, your roller shade will roll at a constant speed. In case of an emergency, press the Add Device button. While it's rolling, you take the screwdriver and you tighten up on there, and razor blade starts going. So let's try this out. This is my first time doing it. And start. And a razor blade's dropping down. I was surprised how easy it cut through the fabric. It's not like I was doing a lot of tension on the screwdriver to get it cut. It was just gently turning it and slicing right through it. Cutting finished. So after you get it out of the roller and the cutter, next thing you have to do is you have to remove this plastic. And you'll take this plastic, and what you do is you snap off what you need. After you've removed the excess fabric, you slide this on, and from here, the next step is to get this bar slid in. So no cutting aluminum. Now you slide this in to where the plastic is, and now you tighten that down. Next, you roll it back up. Next step is to go through and staple on this bottom piece of rubber, because this is where the bottom rail is going to attach. Now this, the way I got my cut done is I measured how long it was, where I needed the length. I then measured the other side and then held this across and used it to draw a straight line with pen. And now I'm just going through and stapling this on. And then at the end here, you cut off the excess. Once you have it cut to size, you put it together and you're ready to mount it. Okay, this is the shade fully assembled. After I had it cut to length, put the piece of plastic on, slid this aluminum channel over, put it back on to the actual roller and motor, put the end cap back on, cap that off. Now it's ready to be mounted. Now this is a battery powered shade that gets charged through USB-C. So you can charge it every once in a while when it needs it, or you can take advantage of the solar panel like I'm doing with mine. When you have that up, depending on how much sun you get, you might not ever have to charge it or deal with it again. Without the solar panel, the battery is expected to last up to 8 months. Personally, I like battery powered shades because I don't don't want to deal with running cables. Now you have a couple of ways to control this. You can use your phone and talk directly to it from the SwitchBot app using Bluetooth. You can use the wired remote, or you can get one of their wireless remotes and go in the SwitchBot app and program it so you have a button to go up and down. Personally, I like the manual controls that buttons provide, whether it's the remote or this, especially when it comes to my kids and wife. We got to keep it simple. Now, if you do want to control it using a smart assistant, you'll need one of their Matter hubs. You'll then pair the device to that. Then your smart assistant talks to the hub. What's great is once SwitchBot introduced the Matter hubs, I was able to take older devices from there and make it Matter compatible. So in Apple Home, I have the SwitchBot curtains, I have my vacuum, I have my wife's blinds, and I now have this shade in there. Now in the SwitchBot app, you can make customized schedules. You have the manual controls, so you just slide up on the screen to wherever you want it. When it comes to using these shades, they're not really loud, but they're not really quiet. I think they go up at a decent speed. Now, if you're a light sleeper, it might wake you up. This is what the motor sounds like coming down. It's not very loud at all. And it actually moves pretty quick. It does run pretty quick compared to some shades I have. Now, once you have it paired up to a hub, it does work with SmartThings, Amazon, Google, Apple. Now, one of the great things about having smart shades is automations. You can have it so that you get woken up in the morning automatically, write an automation so it just comes up when you're ready to wake up. Or, like in the case of my laundry room, when it gets too hot in there, I want it so that it closes automatically. I like having natural light go through there, so I'll just have it closed so it's almost closed, but lets a little bit of light in. And that there should really bring the temperature down, which in turn should cool the room next to it. Automating shades and blinds are really great for controlling the temperature in a room. I have my bedroom that just cooks, so it's easy to leave blinds open, not think about it, and then the room is really hot. So to have them closed before the sun starts coming in the window at a certain time. Now let's take a look at the finished product and I'll share some of my thoughts about this. So here's the shade installed. I wanted this as narrow as possible because I'm not worried about it blacking out light. But if you are using it as a blackout drape, you want to have more overlap than I have right there, because that's going to help black out the light more. So if you came out this far, it's going to help you quite a bit. But because of this little shelf here, I didn't want it going too wide. I would say the pros, definitely a lot more affordable than other options. It's going to work with all these smart assistants when paired with a hub. If you add the solar charger, you don't have to think about it. I would say it's a pretty easy DIY installation and customization if you pay attention and don't record a YouTube video at the same time. A couple things I don't like about it is that the roller is visible. I wish there was a little cover, a valance or something. If you're going to do an outside mount, it'd be nice to have, something that kind of covers the edges and then cover the front so it looks nice and clean and just blocks the shade out. I do think that if you go with the gray fabric, it's going to make that less noticeable. It is kind of a bulky design. That's why I wasn't able to do an inside mount with it. I would like it to sit a little closer to the wall because it does stick out a little bit. The wired remote, it's just you have the wire hanging down. That's where wireless might be a better option. Go that route. I do like that we have another option out there for smart shades and that it's more affordable. Definitely go check out the SwitchBot Roller Shade. Links are in the description, along with some other videos to some other SwitchBot products. Now, if you made it this far into the video and you haven't subscribed yet, please do so you can come check out our next video. And speaking of next video, check out this one on the K10 Plus Pro combo. I've been using the K10 Plus Pro vacuum since it came out. It's my daily vacuum. And this is a combo that has a handheld vacuum that's self-empty. So definitely go check that out. Or this one up here, which YouTube algorithm thinks you'll like instead. Thank you for watching. Bye.